Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Today is the 8th of Muharram, 1448 after the Hijri. The time is 7:05, and let us begin the program. Tonight's program will begin with the recitation of the Noble Quran by our young brother Ali Abid. This will be followed by a recitation of poetry by brother Razi Hussain. And after this, the Majlis will be addressed by Sayyid Sulayman Hasan Abidi. After this, we will go upstairs for Matam, and the program will end with Salatul Maghribain, which tonight is at 8:47 p.m. So tonight's program will open with the recitation of the first 15 ayahs of Surah Mulk. This is the 67th chapter of the Quran. It's known as the Surah of Sovereignty. And the very first verse, we are reminded that all dominion belongs to Allah alone. And it is for this truth that Imam Hussein stood on the plains of Karbala. For those of you who are able, follow on your Quran app. Please welcome our young brother, Ali Abid, to the front with a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور الذي خلق 7 سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير ولقد زينا السماء الدنيا بمصابيح وجعلناها رجوما للشياطين وأعتدنا لهم عذاب السعير وللذين كفروا بربهم عذاب جهنم وبئس المصير إذا ألقوا فيها سمعوا لها شهيقا وهي تفور تكاد تميز من الغيظ كلما ألقي فيها فوج سألهم خزنتها ألم يأتكم نذير قالوا بلى قد جاءنا نذير فكذبنا وقلنا ما نزل الله من شيء إن أنتم إلا في ضلال كبير وقالوا لو كنا نسمع أو نعقل ما كنا في أصحاب السعير فاعترفوا بذنبهم فسحقا لأصحاب السعير إن الذين يخشون ربهم بالغيب لهم مغفرة وأجر كبير وأسروا قولكم أو اجهروا به إنه عليم بذات الصدور ألا يعلم من خلق وهو اللطيف الخبير هو الذي جعل لكم الأرض ذلولا فامشوا في مناكبها وكلوا من رزقه وإليه النشور صدق الله العلي العظيم.
MashaAllah, that was a beautiful recitation of the first 15 ayah of Surah Mulk, the 67th chapter of the Quran. For our young brother Ali Abid, for his sehat, salamati, khair barakat, for him and his family and his teachers, please recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Would like to invite young man, brother Razi Hussain, for recitation of poetry. In Urdu, this would be Soz Khani, but it will be in English, so it will be roughly translated as tuned poetry. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
صل على صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. علي علي أكبر علي 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 أكبر علي علي. Image of the Prophet Ali Ali. Image of the Prophet Ali Ali. Together. Ali Ali Akbar Ali Ali. Ali Ali Akbar Ali Ali. Image of the Prophet Ali Ali. Ali Ali Akbar Ali Ali. Oh Ali Akbar, like your grandfather, so generous, so kind and faithful, patient and truthful and pious. O son of Hussein, you always show the best manners. Manners of the Prophet Ali Ali. Manners of the Prophet Ali Ali. Vision of the Prophet Ali Ali. Vision of the Prophet Ali Ali. Ali Ali Akbar Ali Ali. Ali Ali Akbar Ali Ali. Image of the Prophet Ali Ali. Ali Ali Akbar Ali Ali. As you stood to recite the adhan for the final time, cries were heard as they saw the Nabi for the final time. Oh my son, let me say goodbye for the final time. Caller of the prayer, Ali Ali. Caller of the prayer, Ali Ali. Allahu Akbar Ali Ali. Allahu Akbar Ali Ali. Ali Ali Akbar Ali Ali. Ali Ali Akbar Ali Ali. Image of the Prophet Ali Ali. Ali Ali Akbar Ali Ali. When you left, oh, step by step, your father followed. Oh, Ali Akbar, please let me see your face once more. How can I say goodbye to the son that I adore? Smile of the Prophet Ali Ali. Smile of the Prophet Ali Ali. Sight of your father Ali Ali. Sight of your father Ali Ali. Ali Ali Akbar Ali Ali. Ali Ali Akbar Ali Ali. Image of the Prophet Ali Ali. Image of the Prophet Ali Ali. The bravest lion in the battlefield. But come back, Akbar, call out the ladies to their son. Oh Ali Akbar, come take a taste from your father's tongue. The thirst of Hussein Ali Ali. The thirst of Hussein Ali Ali. Go fight for Hussein Ali Ali. Go fight for Hussein Ali Ali. Ali Ali Akbar Ali Ali. Ali Ali Akbar Ali Ali. Image of the Prophet Ali Ali. Image of the Prophet Ali Ali. As you fell one hand on your chest, you fell one hand on your chest and one hand raised. Assalamu alaikum, O my father, life I gave. Was there a prince of Hashemis like you so brave? Grandson of Haydar Ali Ali. Grandson of Haydar Ali Ali. Brave son of Hussein Ali Ali. Brave son of Hussein Ali Ali. Ali Ali Akbar Ali Ali. Ali Ali Akbar Ali Ali. Image of the Prophet Ali Ali. Image of the Prophet Ali Ali. Salawat. I am the mirror of God's perfection. I am the branch of the best creation. I am the mirror of God's perfection. I am the branch of the best creation. The face of Taha, the pride of Zahra, the prince of Layla. I'm Ali, grandson of Ali. I'm Ali, grandson of Ali. The pure will not be ruled by the da'i. Come forth then you'll see the strength of Alawi. Don't try and tempt me with security. Surely soon you'll see you need it more than me. You need it more than me. Lahiq, I ride like a roaring lion. I see the fear within their eyes. 200 I sent to the fire, praising my Lord with every stride. Heading towards my death, I smile as I hear a call from paradise. Akbar, Akbar. I see the fear within their eyes. 200 I sent to the fire, praising my Lord with every sigh. Heading towards my death, I smile as I hear a call from paradise. Akbar, Akbar. If 1,000 sons were given to me, not one, but all of them I'd name Ali. If 1,000 sons were given to me, not one, but all of them I'd name Ali. Oh my son Akbar, go fight with valor, call out with honor. I'm Ali, grandson of Ali. I'm Ali, grandson of Ali. Your thirst will soon be quenched by the Nabi. From this drink you'll feel quenched for eternity. My heart skips every time I see my heartbeat Ali, struck by the enemy, struck by the enemy. I wish you knew how much it pains a father when a son is slain. The fountain of youth floods the plains of Karbala, forever sane. I wish you knew how much it pains a father when a son is slain. The fountain of youth floods the plains of Karbala, forever sane. Your blood towards the skies I raise, crying your name and God I praise. Akbar, Akbar. I walk with heavy steps across the sand. I fall unable now to even stand. The youth of Hashim, come carry with me the broken Ali, the broken Ali, the broken Ali. My back is broken by this tragedy. I cry out, oh Lord, have mercy on me. The young men rush out, weeping bitterly, to carry the moon of our family, of our family. I wipe the blood out of his eyes, as to the heaven his soul flies. To part with him a heavy price, my heart goes with him as he dies. I wipe the blood out of his eyes, as to the heaven his soul flies. To part with him a heavy price, my heart goes with him as he dies. Before the tents I lay him down, the jewel of Medina's crown. Akbar, Akbar. Salawat.
MashaAllah, for our young brother Razi Hussain, for his health, safety, and continued blessings. Please recite aloud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Before I invite Maulana to the minbar, just a few short announcements. Number one, keep your young children with you at all times. Make sure your phones are in silent mode. And if you see anything or anyone that's suspicious, let the volunteers outside know about it. Finally, those mothers who have young children and want to listen to the English Majlis, room 6 downstairs is where you can go if your child is unable to be still or quiet during the Majlis. The sponsors of tonight's Majlis are the families of Brother Hasan Lakhandwala, Brother Nihar Purara, and Sister Tawqir Fatima. They request that you remember the marhumin of your families and the marhumin of their families in particular. Brother Hassan Abdullah, Brother Muhammad Ali Lakhandwala, Ali Raza Lakhandwala, Zaybun Nisa Lakhandwala, Nargis Banu, Ijaz Ali Pyar Ali, Ruqayya, daughter of Ghulam Hussain, Sayyid Muhammad Sadiq, Sayyid Muhammad Raza, Sayyid Muhammad Zaidi, Dr. Mushtaq Fatima, Abiha, Sayyid Zainul Abidin Abidi, Ganiz Fatima, Sayyid Shahzad Hasnain, Sayyid Muhammad Kazimain, and the marhumin of the Pulara family with the Surah Fatiha preceded by a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I also want to make a special mention of Dr. Shaharwar's brother. Everyone knows Dr. Shaharwar. She's a pillar of our community. If I can have the brothers stand up and move forward, please welcome Sayyid Sulayman Hasan Abidi to the member with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
سورة الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين المبعوث رحمة للعالمين، شفيع المذنبين وحبيب قلوب الصادقين، سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله عز وجل في القرآن المجيد: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذ قال ربك للملائكة إني جاعل في الأرض خليفة قالوا وتجعل فيها من يفسد فيها ويسفك الدماء ونحن نسبح بحمدك ونقدس لك قال إني أعلم ما لا تعلمون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allah describes in the Quran the story of the creation of Adam, which was a creation with a goal and a purpose. That purpose, that destiny, was to represent Allah on earth, to be a steward of God's creation. And that means that we have to recognize the purpose of our existence, and we have to orient our existence towards God and not towards ourselves. That is how we can create a society that aspires towards, that reflects our values and our ideals, and that is a model, that is a beacon of guidance in a world that is filled with so much evil and so much misguidance. Before we can create anything on the exterior of our actions, our words, our deeds, we have to build that which is on the inside, our intentions, our ideals, and our goals. You can have a building that looks beautiful, but it might not have any heart or any substance within it. And then you can have a very simple place, but it can be a home, and it can be filled with love, and it can be filled with blessing and grace and barakah. And the starting point must always be from that very first foundation or building block. But you shouldn't limit yourself to those first steps. In our society, often we are predisposed to look at the visible effects and not on the inner reality. We have a degree or a credential. We can show something, and we feel that that is sufficient, even if we do not know it, even if we do not represent it. Then we feel like we have done our part. But there is a danger that when you come to the inner life, you might not give importance to continuing to grow and develop and to bring your inner ideals so that they are visible within society. Just to give a few examples, when it comes to our acts of worship, there are some people who just do what they are supposed to do, but they don't actually give any thought to whether we have the intention and the humility and the purpose in our ritual worship. It is possible to spend a lifetime and never miss a prayer, but also for that prayer not to prevent us from sinning. It is possible for a person to perform their obligations, but to feel superior to those who do not. And perhaps that is one of the benefits and the reasons for one of the beautiful ta'qibat of our prayer, the actions that we do after the completion of our prayer. Reminder for myself before others, especially those of us who are younger, and some of our prayers we may legitimately not have a whole lot of time because we're praying in school between classes or on the run. And sometimes we have time, we just make ourselves think that we don't have time. Try to do the muqaddimat and the ta'qibat of the prayer to the extent that we are able. Because one of the best things that we can do to focus on our prayer is to do the things before and after the prayer that will allow us to focus. In fact, there isn't much you can do within the prayer that will give you focus. Because once you start the prayer, if you try to think about what you're saying and what the translation is and what the meaning is, and you want to tell yourself to focus, it's just going to add another stress and another distraction. First, you were trying to pray, and now you are thinking about how distracted you are, and so you have a double distraction. But preparing for the prayer can go a long way to helping you focus without distracting you by thinking about your focus as you are praying. One of the most helpful things, in addition to the muqaddimat that are recommended, the recommended du'as, the recommended parts of tahara, and then خُذُوا زِينَتَكُمْ عِنْدَ كُلِّ masjid, adorn yourself and beautify yourself in your dress, in your grooming, even put on some fragrance, brush your teeth, comb your hair. In addition to those things that are specifically recommended, one thing that can be very helpful for us, especially if we are busy, is to just spend maybe 30 seconds or 1 minute clearing our head and thinking about the things that we know are going to enter into our mind once we start to pray. I'm sure all of you have experienced this, that the minute you start your prayer, maybe it's the first time that you're not on your phone since you woke up. It's the first time that you don't have a bunch of other narratives and tasks running through your mind. And so all of a sudden, a whole set of new worries and a whole set of new issues, they enter into your mind. And that can be a distraction. That maybe between the adhan and the iqamah, or even before you recite the adhan, if you just take 30 seconds or 1 minute to say, what is it that is going to worry me? What is it that is going to stress me? What is it that I need to do after I finish my prayer? What is it that I need to give some attention to? Think about it, and then designate that, you know what, I will do this right after lunch. I will do this on my way home. I will do this before I go to sleep. So now you've taken that power to distract you out of whatever thoughts are going to come. You have brought it out into the open. You have designated a time to address it or think about it, and it will have less ability to take up your attention while you are praying. And Allah knows best. But maybe one of the reasons why we have the longest nawafil of the recommended nawafil of prayer before Salatul Dhuhr and before Salatul Asr is for this reason. Because one of the purposes of nawafil is to make up for the deficiency in our prayer. So if I'm praying Salatul Dhuhr and I'm supposed to be able to concentrate for 6 minutes, 7 minutes, or even less sometimes if we just do what is wajib, a little bit longer if we have a good prayer. And I find that 6 minutes of attentiveness to God is difficult for me. Some of us, that is where we are. We should be honest with ourselves, that to give a solid 5 minutes to God without thinking about myself and without thinking about my material affairs, that is hard. All right. It's not an ideal state, but the first step of treatment is to admit what is the current status of the patient, our heart, our soul. Now, how do I fix that? Islam doesn't say that you should go and you should say, you know what, I didn't like Salatul Dhuhr, I'm going to do it again. And I didn't like it the second time, and I'm going to do it a third time. Even if you make a mistake in your prayer, not every mistake requires you to repeat the prayer. If you are making a mistake that takes away a rukn of the prayer, one of the foundations, then you have to redo the prayer. If you add a ruku', for example, or if you miss a ruku', or if you do not have tahara, for example, then these are things that require you to redo the prayer. But if, for example, you miss the second surah, you cannot do it deliberately, but if you go into ruku' and you realize, wait a minute, I just did Surah Al-Fatiha, then you don't have to go back and you don't have to redo the prayer. Your prayer is correct. And even more so, if you did everything correct by the book, but what did you miss? You missed the focus and the attention. The solution that Sharia gives us is not go and redo the prayer so now you can have it with full concentration and focus. Instead, the solution that Sharia gives us is that you are to do the nawafil. The nawafil will make up for the deficiency of your fariḍah, your wajib prayer. Add, and they call it leaning in, right? Don't withdraw, but lean in, and that will help you raise the bar and do better. But the nawafil are not of an equal length. Salatul Fajr is 2 rak'ah. But how much are the nawafil of Dhuhr and Asr each? 8 rak'at, which you do as 4 prayers of 2 rak'ah each. So just every nafilah will be like Fajr. You'll do a 2 rak'ah prayer, then you will do another 2 rak'ah prayer, then another, and finally the 4th 2 rak'ah prayer for a total of 8 rak'at. And you will do that before Salatul Dhuhr is the nafilah of Dhuhr, before Salatul Asr is the nafilah of Asr. Now, Allah knows best, but perhaps one of the reasons why this nafilah is before the prayer and why the nafilah of Dhuhr and Asr are longer than any of the other nawafil of the 5 daily prayers. Fajr is 2 rak'ah, Maghrib is, help me out, 4 rak'ah, although that is after Salatul Maghrib, because at sunset, the time for Fadila of Maghrib begins right at Maghrib time, so begin with the Fariḍah and then do the Nafilah. And Salatul Isha is 2 rak'ah, you pray sitting down, counted as 1. So you can count it as 1, or you can count it as 2, because you do 2 rak'ah, but you do it sitting down, and so it is held to count for 1. But Dhuhr and Asr are 8 rak'ah each, 4 prayers of 2 rak'ah. That is the time when we are the most busy. Commuting, stuck in traffic, groceries, classes, and all of our other daily work. Even if you are at home, then you may have work to do, you have laundry, you have dishes, you have maybe children, you have guests, you have cooking, you have all of these tasks, and you're busiest at that time. So the nafilah can also serve to clear your mind. Because if you have those distracting thoughts, then they will come in the nafilah before you start Salatul Dhuhr, and then the nafilah before you start Salatul Asr, and hopefully by the time you start your prayer, I think even those of us who have very scattered post-it notes stuck all over in our mind, 8 rak'ah should take care of it. Now, if you are not doing the nafilah, or if you do the nafilah but you want to clear your mind, then you can just take that time separately, and you can think of those things that would have caused you a distraction, clear them out of your mind, define how you are going to address them, and that way you will be able to focus better on your salat. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. But with our wajib prayer, we don't want to be apologetic and embarrassed about what we are doing. Sometimes the standard in our community is so low that if a person is just observing hijab, then the default assumption is, oh my God, they're going to be stuck up. They think they're better than the rest of us. Oh, they're so modest. If somebody prays, then the assumption is that, oh, you're showing off, you're so pious, you think you're better. Partially, that might be because those people who practice do not have the humility and the adab that is to come from practice. But partially, it isn't necessarily a shortcoming on the part of those people who are practicing. It is that our standards have gotten so low that if we just do the bare minimum, we think that we're doing something great. Example, is if you've ever given a loan to somebody in your family, then the advice that you will probably get from people who've been around the block is call it a loan or call it whatever, but don't ever expect to see that money again. And sometimes it gets so bad that if the person actually pays you back, you are somewhat shocked that, wow, I wasn't expecting that. That isn't any kind of amazing feat. That is the bare minimum, that if I borrow something from you, I return it as promised. What would be better, لَا تَنْسَوُا الْفَضْلَ بَيْنَكُمْ, is that although it is haram to stipulate interest, is to return it in a better way than I received it, either to add something as a gift, to add a dua, to add gratitude, to add something so that I give not just what I owe, but more than that. We have many vicious cycles in our society. We need to create virtuous cycles, which is the opposite. When somebody gives you a loan, when they help you out, then praise them, thank them, and speak good about them in company so much that they almost feel embarrassed, but also they feel encouraged to show that goodness to you or to others in the future, because it is magnified and it is appreciated. That is what Allah Himself does. It says that you do an evil deed and that will be recorded, and if it is not forgiven and if you do not repent, then you will be punished equal to the evil that you have done. But if you do good, then Allah magnifies it 10 times. So let us try to magnify the good that we receive according to that same logic that Allah has chosen for Himself. If somebody does something wrong, then you can forgive. Allah does not punish everything. But if you feel like you need to mention it, don't exaggerate it, just mention what happened. But if something good is given to you, the evil God might forgive it, and if He punishes it, then He will just punish it to the extent of what was done, not more. What is good, God will never forget it. He will at least give you the reward for what you did, and Allah says that it will be 10 times or more better than what you gave. If that is the sunnah of Allah, and that is the logic and the math that Allah is pleased with, then that should be our logic and our math. Sometimes in our societies, our standards are so low that you have people that want to pray, and they have to feel like, I need to sneak out in this gathering of friends or in this gathering of family so nobody sees me and nobody suspects. And I don't get that reputation as messing up when everybody was gathered for dinner or watching the game or making a big show of prayer. But if that is our environment, then don't make a big show. If people are watching the game, then the point is not that you have to go and you have to be that one person that makes them all feel like they are inferior, but it is a statement of the state of our families and our societies that when there is a wedding, it's almost as if prayer is an inconvenient fact. That can somebody take a few tablecloths off of the tables and maybe clear out some of the trays, and can we make some room for prayer or not? Wedding, a marriage is a time to seek God's blessings. And if everything has been arranged to the dot, the food, the appetizers, the speeches, the audio system, the cards, the gifts, but the one thing that has not been accommodated is that there will be a time for prayer and there needs to be a place for prayer, and that is a statement of our community. Now you don't have to be that one guest to say everything needs to stop, everybody needs to go and pray. But recognize where we have a shortcoming and then think, because our religion is our collective responsibility. How can we raise the bar? And that is what the Quran tells us, aqimus salat. Establish prayer, not just pray. Pray would be sallu. Do your prayer. But the Quran doesn't just say sallu, pray. It says aqimus salat, establish prayer. Make that be the standard. So that if somebody does their 5 prayers, that is not high praise. If somebody does their fasting in the month of Ramadan, if they go for Hajj, if they pay their khums, if they perform their obligations of hijab and of Islamic practice, then that is not a sign of, oh my God, they are so religious. But rather, that is, this person, if they make a promise, then they fulfill their promise. If they owe something, then they will pay it. That is the minimum bar, not only that we should individually aspire to, but that we should establish within society. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So sometimes we have lowered the bar such that we forget that our community should take it for granted that what is wajib will be honored and will be performed. It is something that is important. At other extremes, we have some sections within our community, maybe some individuals whose understanding of practice is just that external practice. All of us probably know children whose parents ensured that they never missed a prayer. And the moment those children became independent, they just had a negativity associated with prayer or with other elements of Islamic practice. Yes, if you are a parent, it is a burden, it is a responsibility. قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَهْلِيكُمْ نَارًا. The Quran tells us to protect yourselves and your family, and many parents, if you are a child and sometimes your mother or your father seems to be a little bit harsh with you, then don't get upset and don't react negatively. That is because of love. It is because of a recognition of how important worship is and faith is that sometimes it becomes overwhelming, and a parent that is overprotective or a parent that is that has very high expectations, that is coming from a place of devotion, of love, and of a desire for the best for their child. So as children, we should value that intention that our parents have, even if it sometimes shows up as a little bit harsh. But as parents, we should be very clear. The first priority is for our children to value and to love worship and prayer, and then to pray. The first priority is for our children to understand modesty and to feel a need to maintain their modesty and their chastity, for boys and for girls. And then to make sure that their dress and their hijab is according to Islamic laws. The accomplishment is not that my child finished the Quran when they were younger than anybody else in the masjid. The accomplishment is whether my child is a little bit older or a little bit younger. They love the Quran. And they don't flee every time I say it's time to read Quran or to have your online class or your in-person class. The accomplishment is not just to say that my child knows how to pray or prays or has memorized this many surahs or this many du'as or the adhan at a younger age or an older age depending on their age, but for them to appreciate that to punctuate your day in order to thank Allah and seek the blessings and the help of Allah and to fulfill your covenant to Allah, that is a gift and an honor and not a punishment. The priority is for us, for our children, for our upbringing to be such that we love those opportunities to worship Allah, to obey Allah, to speak to Allah through our salat, through our dua, through our recitation of Quran, through our other acts of worship, and then the action itself, it comes after that. The performing the action is not a substitute for the value system that is to be its foundation. So we want to avoid both extremes. One where the act becomes a substitute for the spirit behind the act, and the other extreme where we almost forget that we want to establish standards within our community, and I am not a good Muslim if I just do my own thing, but I do not have any concern for establishing that custom and that practice as a marker within our community of obedience to the commandments of Allah, of prayer, of doing what Allah has obligated. That should not just be something I do myself, but that becomes a culture, that becomes a practice within our families and within our society. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So when you take those first steps, then do them with moderation and balance, but then don't limit ourselves and say that this is all that we are concerned with, and if we have a masjid that we can go to and pray and we can do majalis, and we have a school for our own children, then we've accomplished our purpose and we are done. One of the building blocks, as we mentioned yesterday, is family. To honor our family, not to assume that we only have an obligation to our family when they are perfect and compatible with our values and our personality and our interests. But even when there are difficulties, when there are disagreements, when maybe there are clashes of personalities, we still have to honor our families and our relatives. Another building block is that of marriage. And this is something that in many cases we don't have a healthy relationship with marriage within our communities. Sometimes you have younger members of our community, I'm talking kids as young as 15 or 16 years of age. They hear a majlis, they hear an Islamic class, maybe talk among friends, that it becomes wajib on you to get married if you fear that you might fall into sin, or it is recommended to get married early, or it is disliked by Allah to be single, or the prayer of somebody who is married is 70 times better than a person who is single, and so I figure that, hey, why do 70 prayers? Let me just get married and make life easy for myself. So you have one extreme where people who don't know how to make their own bed yet will come and say, you know what, I want to get married, my parents don't agree. All right? What do you bring to the table? Well, I'm a sophomore in high school, I'm going to graduate in 2 more years. There is that one extreme that does exist, and marriage is not just a game, it is not a dream, it is a responsibility. But then we have the other extreme where people think that marriage is a limitation. And so they're like, well, I want to have a little bit of fun and I want to have a little bit of freedom, and not necessarily to do anything wrong, but I want to get to know myself and I want to travel and experience life and get established in my career, and I want to be in a good place for me to get married. If the first extreme is one that many people will laugh at because it sounds absurd, the second extreme is not one that people will laugh at, because that is probably the majority of our youth. And the first mistake is that marriage is not a limitation of your freedom. And you do not discover yourself by avoiding responsibility. You become yourself by admitting and rising to your responsibilities and the opportunities that God has given you. There are people whose parents, for example, may Allah give long life and health to all of us whose parents are alive, but sometimes health does not go according to our desire or our plan. And somebody might say that, well, this is an inconvenient thing for me to have to take care of a parent who has health trouble, maybe temporarily due to an illness or an injury or an accident, or maybe long-term due to old age. And it's very natural for a person to feel that this is a limitation on my freedom. But once again, remember that in Islam, we don't believe in coincidences. We don't believe that there is a God of light and a God of darkness, and that God of darkness sometimes throws a monkey wrench into the affairs of the world just to create some mischief. There's only one God, and He is the Creator, and He is the Sustainer and the Lord of all that exists. And so we have tests, but those tests are part of the mercy of Allah and the love and the opportunity that Allah gives us to grow. So for me to think that, you know what, just as I thought that I was going to have some freedom now, I have this responsibility, I can't travel as much because of my mother, because of my father, because of my spouse, because of a child. You know, these responsibilities that we have, that is in fact a limitation. God is giving you an opportunity to get in early on an investment that will only grow in value through your life and then for all eternity in the hereafter. God is giving you an opportunity to free your soul. And here I am thinking that it is a burden or a limitation. Marriage is not a limitation of your freedom. In fact, it is one of the three greatest things that you can do to free your soul and open your account of good deeds to a greater return and a longer period of investment returns than would otherwise be possible. Many of you are familiar with the hadith narrated from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa and this is narrated in similar wording in both Sunni and Shi'i sources. It is an agreed upon hadith. إِذَا مَاتَ ابْنُ آدَمْ انْقَطَعَ عَمَلُهُ إِلَّا مِنْ ثَلَاثٍ. إِذَا مَاتَ ابْنُ آدَمْ, when the son of Adam dies, then their book of deeds, it comes to an end, meaning good deeds. You can't do any more good deeds. But there's three things that allow you to live beyond your own life. One of them is sadaqatin jariyah. If you have given an endowment, it could be a waqf, it could have been a sadaqah, a gift that you give in the way of Allah, and that gift, it doesn't have to be something monetary. Let's say that you teach Sunday school. Some of you probably will get that call. I think you start in August here for Sunday school. And so maybe you have abundant teachers. I know in our community, in many communities, they're always looking for more volunteers and teachers. And some of you might dread that call that, you want me to commit my Sundays, Monday through Friday. I am busy. Saturday is the only day that I have to do 1,000 errands. And then Sunday you want me to give. That is a sadaqah jariyah. If you know how to read Quran, if you are able to teach, if it's too much of a burden, then at least volunteer as a substitute to lessen the burden for those who are the full-time teachers. But if you have it in your heart, then volunteer to do more. Sadaqah jariyah is any good deed that you do that will last in its effect and its benefit after your time. That's one thing that will survive after I am dead. What I endow, the education that I provide, maybe to a nephew or a niece or a child in my community. Money that I give for a project that is going to benefit the community or benefit society. Sadaqatin jariyah, أو علم ينتفع به, or knowledge that others will benefit from. If you write, if you teach, if you translate, if you provide knowledge to others, you produce knowledge, or you convey knowledge as a teacher, even if you don't have any fancy Islamic knowledge, but you teach a child, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Surah Al-Fatiha, Alif, Ba, Ta, Tha. Even that simple teaching, that is the foundation then of everything else that the child will learn afterwards. You have a head start. So sadaqatin jariyah, أو علم ينتفع به. And the third, and the one that is relevant to the most broad number of Muslims, أو ولد صالح يدعو له. If you have a righteous child that will pray for you. Generally, if you look at studies, if you have a fortune, even with all of the effort that people put into creating trusts and into preserving generational wealth, what are the standards? They say 3 generations, 4 generations, that wealth survives. And that's just how much the physical wealth will survive. Sometimes you can preserve it, stretch it out, but you won't be happy with the results. Because by the time you get to the 2nd generation or the 3rd generation, there isn't that goodness, that faith, where they are going to do anything to make you proud with the inheritance that you may have left them. But even if you do everything, that physical inheritance, it generally does not survive past a short number of generations. But faith, if you can raise a good family, then that is a legacy where, inshallah, with the blessings of Allah, with the prayers and the sincerity of our believing men and believing women, that can last beyond the length of any material legacy or wealth. Not just 3 generations, but perhaps 300 generations. So one of the 3 things that can give you virtual immortality, one of them is to have offspring that are pure and that will pray for you after your own death. إذا مات ابن آدم انقطع عمله إلا من 3 صدقة جارية أو علم ينتفع به أو ولد صالح يدعو له. Now, among these 3 things, we can often say that for the majority of us, that institution of marriage is one of the best ways to get an early return. So if you have a chance to invest and have the benefit of that investment compound, would you rather wait until 2 years before retirement, so you just get 1 year or 2 years of return? Or would you rather invest as soon as possible? Again, I'm not saying as a sophomore in high school, but as soon as possible, when you are emotionally, physically ready, and materially ready, and you have your family support. You don't want to put it off and say, well, no, I want my freedom. Why? Because you will find a greater freedom if you build that legacy and that family, which is going to grant you a advantage, a leg up in your eternal life. And perhaps that is the wisdom of the famous prophetic hadith in which Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is reported to have said, "Man tazawwaja faqad ahraza nisfa dinih." If you get married, then half of your religion is safe. Some people, they look at it very simply as a matter of protection from sin. Getting married doesn't automatically protect you from sin. You can be safe from sin if you are not married, and a person can commit a sin if they are married. But one thing that marriage does is it forces you out of your comfort zone. And in America in particular, too many of us have too big a comfort zone. We need too much personal space. I'm old enough to remember when siblings had to fight over what TV show to watch in the evenings and on Saturday mornings. And now, you don't even have to have a disagreement between parents and children or among the children. Father is saying, we're going to watch the news. Children are saying, no, we want to watch a cartoon. Or everybody has their own entertainment. Everybody has their own screen. Used to be that you had one, maybe department store, you'd go and you'd see what options you have, you'd buy what you wanted. Now many of you order 3 things, say I'm going to try them out, and I'm going to definitely return 2 of them, and maybe all 3. It's free returns. And then the one that you choose, you get bored of it the day after. So we have too much of a habit of selecting our own food, our entertainment, our environment in such a way that we are brittle. And if a little bit changes, then we have to pack our bags and leave, either physically or emotionally we have to check out, because we're just not used to dealing with conflict and with disagreements, and that is an erosion of our humanity. You might not realize it in the moment, because when you can hyper customize every experience, you feel like that is an advancement. But sometimes not being able to customize, it does take a little bit of pressure off of you, but more importantly, it keeps you humble and it keeps you more real. Now, separate from the problems of our consumer culture, if you live alone, you can wake up what you want when you want. You can eat what you want. You can do what you want. And you don't have to accommodate another person. But when you get married, then you have to get over yourself. If you don't get over yourself, then you will have a spouse and you will have in-laws that will help you get over yourself. And that is a good thing. Which is why when some people talk about compatibility, I think it might even be worth saying, no, marry somebody who is incompatible. It might seem counterintuitive, it might seem like it is perhaps unwise, but if you are compatible in terms of your values, you're just incompatible in the sense that people usually use it. That I like bland food and my spouse likes spicy food. I'm a morning person and my spouse is a night owl. I'm an extrovert, they are an introvert. I like to travel, they are a homebody. These are the types of things. I am impulsive, they are a planner. I am a spender, they are a saver. These are the types of things that people think about when they think of compatibility. These are not what define compatibility. In fact, sometimes if you are very different, if you are humble and you are respectful, then that diversity will be a better environment for you not to get boxed into narrow-minded decisions or long-term mistakes, and it might mean that you will be able to raise your children better, because they won't just have two parents that are carbon copies of each other, but one of them might be able to understand one child better and another one will be able to understand another child better. So when people think of compatible, I'm not saying you should find somebody incompatible. You go and find somebody who is not religious and say that, okay, we're going to have, in terms of values, you should have compatibility. But values are the big questions in life. And frankly, you don't even need to do that. Your parents, your friends, somebody who knows you well, they can vet the candidate on that level. The small questions that we often think, especially young people, often think are very important. In the grand scheme of things, the longer you live and the more experiences you have and the more real-world challenges that you have to confront, you realize that that level of compatibility, it doesn't really matter that much and it doesn't really tell you that much. The level of compatibility that really matters, somebody who loves you and knows you well and shares your values can often vet a potential spouse as well or better than you can yourself. I'm not telling our children that just go have your parents pick a spouse and give them the power of attorney and then they tell you that, I married you last week to this person. But if you were to do that, it wouldn't be as bad as you think. Because some of those issues, they are questions that we have to resolve in terms of moving beyond our own ego. And that is where we discover our true humanity. That is where we learn how to be altruistic. And it doesn't mean that you give up your happiness. It actually means that you discover a level of happiness that is beyond serving the self. Because you are giving serenity, tranquility, and an eternal reward for your own soul. But having said that, marriage is not all honeymoon and a bed of roses. Or maybe it's a bed of roses because roses have thorns. In fact, it's a bed of roses without the flowers. Sometimes. And sometimes it has the flowers. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Think of marriage as an opportunity to serve Allah, because it is the sunnah of the Prophet, it is the recommendation of the Prophet. In the Prophet's time, there were those people who believed in rahbaniyya and asceticism, and they said that, you know what, we're going to give up the world and we're just going to worship Allah. And Allah said that, don't think that that is piety, don't think that that is worship, don't think that that is good. Not only our Prophet, but all of the Prophets, they got married, they had children, they worked and sacrificed for their families, and that was their model of spirituality and worship. There is struggle and sacrifice. To encourage especially the young women in our community to get married, there is a hadith of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alih. I'm not saying this ironically, but it might seem that way. Jihadul mar'a husnut taba'ul. The jihad of a woman is to take care of a husband well. Jihad is not easy. If you look at the ghazawat of the Prophet, sometimes they would have to tie stones to their own bellies with ropes while they are digging a trench, and they are surrounded by an enemy that is many times more numerous and more powerful than they are. The Battle of Tabuk is called Jayshul Usra, the army of hardship and hunger. In the heat, you go off into the desert. So jihad is not easy. And the jihad of a woman is not to go and face the enemy in the battlefield, but to put up with a husband. Now, you might say that, well, that doesn't really seem that fair. Because yeah, at one time, Muslim men had jihad, but I don't see any of the young men in our community being obligated to go to the battlefield. So then the women still have a jihad, and the men don't. And it goes both ways. There is a hadith also of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alih, which is on its face very harsh. Al-mu'min ya'kulu bishahwati iyalih, wal-munafiq ya'kulu ahluhu bishahwatih. If a person is a mu'min and is a faithful, believing man, then he doesn't eat what he wants. He eats what his family wants, what his wife, what his children want, even if that's not what I prefer, then that is what I will eat. Sometimes, in our stereotypical families, the breadwinner might say that, all right, I'm the one who is supporting the family and I'm earning, and so everything should be by my rules and my preference. This is not just about food, but it is about the way that a true provider takes care of the family. It's not on my terms, just because I am supporting financially, or I am earning, or I am providing. Al-mu'min ya'kulu bishahwati iyalih. A mu'min is somebody who looks at his wife and his children and sees what is it that they would like, what is it that they want to eat, and expanding that, what kind of furniture do they like, what kind of home do they like, what are their preferences, and they live their life according to those preferences. And what if you don't do that? What if you say, no, I just want to be an old-fashioned trad husband? Right? Is that the term that they use these days? Not up on my ego, but I'm old school. Well, you can do that. Al-munafiq ya'kulu ahluhu bishahwatih. You can choose. You want to be a munafiq, you want to be a mu'min. But what some people think is masculinity, what some people think is old school, that is according to a different culture and a different value system. Don't go in for that value system. So yes, for women there is a jihad, husn al-taba'ul. But for men there is an equal jihad, which is that if you are sacrificing and stuck in rush hour traffic and stress and hardship, then when you bring the paycheck to your family, then they are the ones whose preferences dictate how it is to be spent and eaten and used and consumed. There is a jihad and a sacrifice on both sides. But then the solution is not to say that, well, why should I do that? Because if you don't do that, just like jihad in the days of the Prophet, those who did not go for the ghazawat, they thought that, you know what, we're going to be safe from death. We're not going to have hardship. Guess what? They still died. They still got sick. They still had emotional and physical and material hardship. They just didn't get the reward and the barakah of having gone forth and performed the jihad. So in our time as well, don't romanticize and say that, well, marriage makes everything easy. No. Marriage is something that makes everything more blessed and more valuable. And it allows you to earn a reward and understand an altruism that would not otherwise be possible. But it doesn't make things to be easy. It makes things to be more inherently worthy and spiritually powerful, and it opens a door of reward that is not otherwise possible. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And you can see the role of the family when you look at the struggles of Ahlul Bayt after the death of the Prophet. It was Amir al-Mu'mineen and Fatima Zahra. It was Imam Hasan and Imam Hussein. Together, they advocated for and established the right of Ahlul Bayt in the face of oppression and in the face of powerful members of the Muslim community turning their back on the explicit command of the Prophet in Ghadir Khum and at many other times. If not for that family unit, then that message of Islam would not have been propagated. It would not have been preserved. And we see that preservation on the day of Ashura. The family of Imam Hussein, what barakah did it create? One of the greatest was the son of our Imam, Ali al-Akbar. For such a son was so beloved to the Imam that the Imam himself says when he went forth to do battle that, "O Allah, I am sending now to the enemy a young man كان أشبه الناس خلقا وخلقا ومنطقا برسولك وكنا إذا اشتقنا إلى رسول الله نظرنا إليه." Whenever we would remember our grandfather, the messenger of God, we would say, "Ali Akbar, come into the room." We would look at Ali Akbar, we would listen to his speech, and it is as if time had been erased and we were back in the presence of the Prophet himself. The Prophet about whom Allah says that he is ala khuluqin azim, he has the greatest conduct. A ma'soom Imam is testifying that Ali Akbar has that akhlaq and that character of the Prophet himself. How difficult must it have been for Imam Hussein to give permission to Ali Akbar? After the companions had been martyred, Ali Akbar, he came to his father. He said that, "Father, do you give me permission to go and fight the enemy?" There was only one soldier who came to ask the Imam, that the Imam did not make any excuses and did not have any hesitation and did not say that, "No, I do not give you permission." When any of the companions came, the Imam found one reason or another to say that, "I don't want you to go." When his own nephews and his own members of Bani Hashim came, the brothers of Muslim ibn Aqil, the Imam said that, "Your brother Muslim has already been martyred, that is sufficient from your family." When Qasim came, the Imam says that, "My brother placed you in my trust, how can I give you permission?" When Aun and Muhammad came, the Imam said that, "Your father is not here, how can I give you permission in his absence?" Until they said that he is the one who sent us. The only person whom the Imam did not hesitate was Ali Akbar. He came, he said, "Father, do you give me permission?" And Imam said, "Yes, go my son. Show how the son of Ali will fight, even if he is hungry, and even if he is thirsty, and even if he is surrounded." And Ali Akbar, he went, but he had not taken more than a few steps, except that Imam Hussein said that, "Oh my son, have you forgotten that it is not only I that you must ask permission from? Have you asked your aunt Zainab to give you permission?" And Ali Akbar stopped. And he turned back, and he went towards the tent where his aunt Zainab was. And she saw him approaching, and she knew why he was coming. Maybe she would have said to him, "Ali Akbar, do not say anything." And she would have hugged him once because he was her nephew, and a little bit longer because he was the son of her beloved brother Hussein, and she knew how much Imam Hussein loved him. And then she hugged him longer because his fragrance was the fragrance of the Messenger of God. His features were the features of the Messenger of God. His voice was the voice of Rasulullah. His character was the character of Rasulullah. And after a long time, when Lady Zainab had hugged Ali Akbar and shed tears that had wet her own body and his, she said to him, "Ali Akbar, I know why you have come to me." He said, "Only my aunt. My father is waiting. And I don't want him to say that maybe my son is not ready for battle." Zainab came with Ali Akbar. "Oh, my brother Hussein, has the time now come when even Ali Akbar is going to go for the battle?" Imam Hussein, the tears were enough of an answer. He and Lady Zainab, they prepared Ali Akbar for battle. He went forward, and after Imam Hussein had bid farewell, perhaps he raised his head towards the sky and said that, "Oh Allah, I have given my son in your path. But if I can witness him one more time, if I can hold him one more time, then oh Allah, please bring him back to me before his martyrdom." And after Ali Akbar had done battle for some time, it is narrated that he returned to his father. He said that, "Father, I have so much thirst that it prevents me from doing battle as I wish to do. If there is but a sip of water, then I might be able to defeat the enemy, even though I am all alone." And the Imam knew that although he had no water, it was as if his prayer had been answered. He said that, "Ali Akbar, look at my tongue, it is more parched than your own, but take my ring and put it in your mouth, and oh Ali Akbar, go back and do battle and give your life in the way of Allah." And this time when Ali Akbar went, it is narrated that Imam Hussein nadara ilayhi nadara ayyisin, he looked at his son as if he had lost hope of ever seeing him again. This time he bid farewell for real. And this is the time when Ali Akbar, he charged into the enemy soldiers, and the dust rose up and hid his face and his battle from the sight of Imam Hussein, until a voice came back that, "Oh my father, I see Rasulullah standing at the gates of heaven. He has he has heavenly water in his hands, and he has given me a message." He calls out that, "Oh my grandson Hussein, your grandfather Rasulullah is awaiting you at the gates of heaven. So hasten, O Hussein, and do not be grieved at the suffering of your family on this day. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un." Oh Allah, we ask you to grant us in our families, in our marriages, in our children, that purity that we find in the example of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad alayhimus salatu wassalam. Oh Allah, we know that life's challenges, they are not easy, but grant us the courage, grant us the sincerity, grant us the tawfiq and the grace to be able to rise to the challenges and succeed in all of the tests that you give us. Oh Allah, fulfill our hajat, and our most important hajat is to keep faith true in our hearts and in the hearts of our children and our families until the Day of Judgment. Oh Allah, convey our greetings and our love to the Imam of our time and hasten his reappearance. Count us among his true followers. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.